Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to today's pick a card reading. Today we are looking at how your energy is seen and felt by other people around you. And we have 5 piles to choose from 1 to 5. You can choose as many or as few as you would like. And there will be no extended today, but there are 5 piles. So yeah, and this was very fun to film, so I hope to film more videos like this, even though I know they're not kind of the favorites on the channel. I still really enjoy filming them, and I hope they are helpful to you or interesting, those of you who are drawn to videos like this, or this video in particular. So yeah, and personal readings are available if you would like to book with me. The link is down below. And that is all I have to say, so I will leave you to focus on which card or cards call to you the most, and I will see you soon. Hello, my beautiful pile ones, and welcome to your reading. Today we are looking at how your energy is seen and felt by other people. So I'm just gonna put this away. And we are going to be live shuffling today, which I used to do on the channel all the time, but I haven't really done it in a while except for the tarot portion of the reading. So I'm excited for that. I don't know, I've been missing that. I wanted to kind of switch things up a little bit in the way I do the readings. So yeah, let's see. So we only have this oracle card so far, which you will also have seen in the introduction. But we're also going to be getting some cards from a few other decks. So starting off, we have the earthworm energy. Your energy is coming through as very loyal, and like once you set your mind on something, you will get that thing, even if it's by kind of unexpected means. That's what I'm hearing. So you could be very good at manifestation. You could kind of lead a out of the ordinary kind of life, a life that people may find even confusing at times. So you may have some quirky hobbies. I don't even know what quirky hobbies would be, but you could be into things like witchcraft, manifestation, law of assumption, law of attraction. I'm also hearing dancing, though I don't know if that is very out of the ordinary, but I guess not everyone dances nowadays. So I feel like there is a lot about self-expression. You are coming through as someone who knows who they are, and it doesn't really matter what other people say. You can use other people as a mirror to yourself, but you know that that is not necessarily the most accurate representation of who you are either. Like, people may have their opinions about you, but they know that if they disagree with you, it's not going to shake you. It's not going to shake who you are. So I feel like your energy is coming through as a bit intimidating as well. Like, it's not difficult, it's not easy to break you. And I don't know why it's coming through in this sense. Maybe there have been people around you who have really tested your patience lately, or who have not had your best interest at heart. You could have gotten in contact with some people who were a bit more on the selfish end of the spectrum. And prioritizing the self is necessary. It is a good skill to have, which I also feel is seen in your energy, that you can prioritize yourself. When you need time for yourself, you can take that. But I also feel there have been people around you who have tried to take advantage of your wisdom and your understanding. And then I feel like they have failed if they've done this, because they couldn't convince you, or they couldn't manipulate you, or they thought they did, but if they are realistic about it, you have not given up the reins of the situation. And I don't think you have necessarily like the goal to always be in control of everything. I feel like you are a lot more concerned with your own energy and your own life and what you want for yourself in your own life, which is why I think manifestational energy is coming through so strongly. You may have created your own business, or you may plan to. You may have some kind of platform that you built. It seems like you have been building something for yourself in the background without people really noticing. I don't think your energy is not coming through as someone who likes to show off necessarily. I think you are just who you are. And you're more concerned with how you feel about yourself rather than how person A, person B, person C might think your life is going, or what kind of critique they may have. There may be people around you who have criticized you. I'm hearing even for like the way you dress. But I feel like you don't really pay any mind to that. And I don't think it's that you are completely closed off to other people's opinions. I think you are very open-minded. Like I'm noticing this gap kind of here. So if something makes sense to you, something feels right to you, I feel like you are someone who listens. It's not that you just write everything off and you just don't, pay any mind to anyone else, but it's more so, I think, you are careful with what you allow to get into your energy. I think you are seen as someone emotionally intelligent, someone who is maybe more on the emotionally patient end of things. Like you are forgiving, but once a certain threshold has been crossed, I feel like it's also not difficult for you to write people off, or to feel like you should write people off because they have shown over and over again that they are not a match to your energy, or not a match to the energy you give out or you expect from other people. There is something like my voice is going away. At times you may have felt like this could have been a lesson, self-expression, something you grew to be quite good at. I think you are able to approach people with a lot of patience for some time, but it's not endless, it's not limitless, which is completely fair. You are also human, and you don't have to be like a Zen being who lets people just do whatever they want with no consequences when their actions may be affecting you negatively. So I feel like there is quite a bit of balance in that way, or that balance is something that you have been building up to. I think you also come across as very complex as a person, very complicated, hard to read, very imaginative. You may daydream a lot. You may fantasize a lot about the life that you want, about the things that you want, about scenarios that you want to call into your life. I think you are quite well equipped in terms of managing your own energy. Even though I say that, I don't know what exactly I mean. But I feel like you have gotten to know yourself quite well. And you are aware that you are not going to be very easily deciphered by everyone else. And I don't think you are concerned with that, really. But now that we have kind of a baseline for this energy, I want to get some additional cards from some different decks. Okay. A lot of the cards are jumping out, so I feel like there is also kind of an old, because this deck is about, like, it's called the Journey of Souls lessons. I always mix up the names of the decks, to be honest, but it's Souls lesson cards or something along those lines. And I feel like maybe it comes across as like you are quite wise. You are someone who has been through a lot, or you give the impression that you are just quite well equipped. I don't know why I keep saying well equipped with knowledge and wisdom and a lot of advice that maybe also sometimes comes through you. You could be good at channeling as well. You could be interested in the tarot. There is kind of that advice giver, guidance provider kind of energy to this as well. Pile one, please. How is their energy seen and felt? We have guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. See, there is a lot of soul growth coming through, and I'm noticing how kind of, in essence, these images are kind of similar. They are kind of spiraling. I feel like there has been a lot of growth in your life, and I feel like your journey has had its ups and downs. Maybe you still experience these, but I feel like you have accepted that this is a normal part of your journey. And that may be a wisdom that you share with other people as well, that they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to do things perfectly. But it's important to stay true to yourself and what you want, not what society wants, not what person A wants, not what person B says. So I feel like you're quite headstrong in that sense, at least in the way that you come through, because it could be that, of course, that you doubt yourself or your decisions at times, which is also perfectly normal. But I think you come across quite confident and decisive once you have made up your mind. And you come across as someone who always tries to see the lessons, to see the wisdom in the experiences that you go through. We have the falling moon release blocks. There is so much about releasing. There is so much about kind of making space for what you feel is aligned with you. It may take you some time to work your way through blockages. It may take patience, but I feel like maybe also through healing, you have built a lot of patience within yourself and for other people, for their experiences. I feel like you can really hold space for others while holding space for yourself as well. I also think there is something like, I don't know how to best put this, but something very alluring about your energy, like something mysterious. Like, I feel like you come across quite full of life, but I feel like there is also the opposite end of this where you may be quite philosophical, quite broody. And I think maybe that is seen by a certain group of people, or a certain group of like people that are at a certain closeness level to you. I think you come across as very intriguing, very relatable, but I think the relatability comes not because you live the most expected, like ordinary, fitting into society's expectations kind of life, but more so I think it's because of the empathy that you are able to extend to other people. I think you are coming through as a very good listener. Very attentive in that sense. Even though there is also a tinge to your energy that is maybe kind of zoned out at times. Like you're here and there at the same time. You're in your head and you're also just having a conversation with someone else, but there are like 3 other things you're thinking about, dreaming about at the same time. You may come across a bit distracted at times, but also I think it's that, I mean, it's not that you don't like to organize anything. I don't think it's that you don't like to structure anything. I don't think it's that you just want to live a reckless life, but there is kind of this adventurous tinge coming from your energy, which I feel maybe is the gap between what is going on in your head and then what is coming through to other people, because I feel like you are not completely avoidant of planning. Maybe you even prefer to have like a good overview of things, because there is something systematic about this energy as well. It's not just floating in empty space kind of energy, even though at times you may feel that, because again, there is that kind of brooding kind of energy to this. I think you try to be grounded to the best of your ability. I think you come across quite grounded to people you meet. Only people who are close to you might see, like, when you feel like your feet are lifted off the ground and you are in kind of a limbo. Here we have Pisces energy, and this is exactly what I was talking about, that dreamy kind of here and there. I'm always dreaming, I'm always in my head, I have very vivid dreams kind of energy. I think there is also a tinge to this energy that may come across a bit of like an escapist, which I'm not judging, by the way. Sometimes it's being is quite intense. So there may be certain habits that you go to, or there may be certain particular themes in your life that are more difficult to deal with for you. I feel like now we are seeing more the perception of people that are potentially closer to you in that sense, who may see where you struggle as well. I think you are seen as someone very intuitive. Very intuitive, and maybe you have some like opinions that people would consider to be out there. But there is something very dreamy, very intuitive, very, very intuitive. Also quite emotional, and maybe like sensitive. You may be very, very empathic and emotionally expressive, although not with every emotion. I think there is a bit of a selectivity with which emotions you express more freely. We have the femme fatale. Highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. And the shadow attribute is inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money, and power. But one thing I forgot to mention is that my intention while shuffling these cards was that everything I will just take upright. This is not something that I do very often, but I felt called to do it this way today. So yeah, we're taking all of them upright, although in this deck I figured I would consider kind of all aspects of the energy that is coming through and see what is coming through the strongest. But I do feel there is that, when I was like saying mysterious kind of those things, maybe because I was saying release over and over again, I also thought of this kind of maybe the more sexual aspect of your energy, that I think there is something very alluring, very kind of mysterious, very intoxicating in that sense. So you may be very comfortable with your sexuality or interested in exploring your sexuality, or at least you are perceived as someone who is like maybe very comfortable in that sense, very expressive in that sense as well. And I do think there is more predominantly feminine energy here, regardless of gender, which is more yin, which is more moon than sun. Even though I do think you spread a lot of light to people around you. And I think at times, maybe you have or have had a tendency to sacrifice and neglect your own needs for the sake of keeping up with others. And I think that is almost perceivable, that shift in your energy when you start ignoring yourself or your intuition or your connection, your relationship with yourself. It almost seems like your energy dims a little. And I'm not saying this to, again, judge you or anything along those lines. We are all allowed to have our bad days or, you know, feel any emotion that we gotta feel. But I feel like there is a distinct difference between, like, perceived within you when you are in tune with yourself and your goals, your perceptions, versus when you try to adhere to someone else's expectations. There seems to be a very stark difference. And see, now my voice is going away again. And I'm not sick or anything. Maybe I have done a lot of readings lately, and that's why my voice is kind of leaving me. But I feel like at times there is that energy of struggling with self-expression, or even like feeling like you are not able to explain your inner world to someone outside of you. It's like maybe at times when you talk to people, you wish you could put them in your head so they really understand what you're talking about or how you're seeing something. I think you have very creative, very inspiring, very imaginative ideas that you like to share with people and that people love to hear. Sometimes maybe they feel completely like out of their range of perception, completely out of anything they have considered or have been considering or would consider. But it seems like you make a good case of it, that people actually listen. Now we're going to get some tarot, and all of this I will also take upright. So please, Spirit. Okay. We have the moon. What did I say? More moon than sun. Very intuitive, maybe at times secretive, enigmatic. Not everyone has I'm hearing the honor. Not everyone has the honor to get to know you on a close level. That is kind of an intuitive barrier that you have almost. I think maybe you are good at knowing how much to show who. Like how much would make you feel comfortable in what context. I think you may have a very good understanding of that. But I think overall you are emotionally expressive. And it comes across fearless. Can we get 2 more cards to represent Pile 1's energy? How is Pile 1's energy seen and felt? We have the 7 of Swords. I was just thinking your energy is coming through a bit like honey and fairy dust, which is like, but it's kind of like alluring, it's intoxicating. But it's also not something people can just easily pinpoint. And there is quite a mysterious energy around this. Maybe people don't quite understand what you're up to on a day-to-day basis. I don't think you are, like, I don't think your energy comes across as someone who lies or is sneaky or anything along those lines. But it's more like your way of living just is not something people fully get very easily. But I also think you have this tinge to your energy where people see truths about themselves that they may not want to see. I think you are confrontational with them, and I think that is because you are so introspective. So you have learned to kind of not avoid these through your own introspections. That's almost what it feels like. I think you are a mirror to people, and I think you are one of those more accurate mirrors, you know, because sometimes you see mirrors in like a circus or something, in a mirror house or whatever they're called, and they are like wobbly, zigzaggy, and I feel like you are kind of a true to life kind of mirror. For the most part, I think you can keep objectivity with other people, also with yourself. Even though I think you are perceived as very emotional, you can also be very objective and very self-aware. And I think maybe that is why people take your opinion and your mirrordom seriously. And I think people tend to care what you think about them. Maybe because what you say seems to be like significant, or you seem to make very good observations about people, about their psychology, about how they're coming through, how they're acting. We have the Nine of Swords, which is a bit of an overthinker energy, which I am not really surprised to see, because there is this whole spiraling, there is this whole introspection. I think you do come across as someone who is more in their head than someone who is just like no thoughts at all in the present. And I think that is a skill that you have likely been practicing, to be more present, to, you know, live kind of on this realm as much as you live in your head. And it is not a bad thing necessarily to have such an active, vivid imagination. It's not a bad thing at all, unless it is something that gets in your way, which I feel sometimes people think it does get in your way of, like, because I was talking about that zoning out, like you could be having a conversation in your head, but also talking to someone face to face. And maybe at times, if you are riddled with a lot of thoughts, especially like, or a lot of anxiety about a particular thing, or confusion about a particular thing, maybe that is also easily visible in your energy. Although I think that is maybe because you don't try to hide it. I think you don't see that there is something wrong with that sentence was bad, because there isn't something wrong with expressing your feelings, but I think you know that there isn't something wrong to just be who you are and to just say how you feel instead of trying to repress it and not show it to someone else. So I feel like you are seen as emotionally expressive and someone who maybe has a lot of depth, a lot of like thoughts, feelings that other people may not easily understand, but also you're not afraid of showing that if someone is open to perceiving it. And maybe people who know you better can easily pick up on like what is going on with you internally compared to people you just met. They may just think you're a bit more reserved or just distracted. But you are not. I think that sense of being distracted comes from just all of the energy that you are always processing, and all of the feelings you are always feeling, always picking up on from around you as well. Because I do think you are very sensitive to energy. I do think Like you walk into a room, you can sense the tension. If someone is uncomfortable having a conversation with another person, you can sense it. I feel like you are very sensitive to energy, and people can tell because it seems you can read people without them telling you things and can make very good intuitive judgments. And I think that comes across as very impressive, but also kind of intimidating because it's not easy to hide from you. And I feel like you've maybe been around people that have wanted to. It's like you see through the masks, and you see through people's intentions. And I think you come across as someone who tries to see the good in everyone, see the potential in everyone. But again, not without boundaries, not without limits, especially if someone is repeatedly showing you what their intentions are. But yeah, I think on this note, this was kind of an abrupt ending, but I think this is all I have for you. And I hope this resonated or was interesting. If this didn't resonate, you probably wouldn't have watched it this far, but in case you did, feel free to choose another pile, or if you didn't feel drawn to any of the other piles, there may just be no message for you in this reading. Oh, and I will quickly mention the signs. We have Cancer, we have Pisces. The Nine of Swords always makes me think of Virgo. The Earthworm is giving some Taurus, Libra energy to me in this moment. So these may resonate, but they don't have to. It's just for extra confirmation. If you are looking for any, I'll throw Scorpio in there as well. So, all right. On this note, I am wishing you a wonderful day or night or whenever it is for you, and I'm sending you tons of love. Take care and bye. Hello, my beautiful pile twos, and welcome to your reading. Today we are looking at your energy, and we're looking at how it is seen and felt by other people. So today we are doing something I haven't done in a while, at least for the oracles. We're going to be live shuffling, which I have really missed. I loved filming pile one, so I'm excited for your pile two. And I'm just going to put this over here. We already have this oracle card that we're going to start off with to kind of get like a baseline of your energy. And then we have a bunch of other decks to pull cards from, and we will expand on that energy. So starting off, we have the Horse, which is kind of a spiritual powerhouse kind of like energy. You are coming through as someone very intuitive, very like good with balancing the head and the heart. And this is regardless of how you feel on the inside. Even if you struggle with this at times, that is also perfectly okay, because I mean, it would also be okay if your energy was not perceived as so balanced, but I feel like it is perceived as very, very, very balanced, very, very, very wise. You are coming through as someone with lots of advice, lots of insight. It's kind of like this ethereal being kind of energy almost. And you're coming through as like an old soul, regardless of how old you actually are, how old you physically are, or how old you feel. But you may be someone that says, like, I feel like I've lived many lifetimes. Whether you believe in past lives or not, there is just kind of that ancient tinge to your energy, something very historic, almost. I think you are coming through as someone very headstrong, someone who is maybe perceived as a bit more opinionated, but you have facts to base your opinions off of. Very confident in your path. You're coming through very established. You could be very established in your career, or just in yourself, in like who you are. There is something very caring about your energy as well, but it's like you have very healthy boundaries, and that is coming through very strongly. it seems not everyone has access to you. And you have maybe learned to put up healthy boundaries, and you're coming through very encouraging. Like, you are always on the front lines, supporting anyone and anything you believe in. You're making sure people know that you believe in them, that they can do it. There is something very supportive, very encouraging, very sweet, very gentle, but also at times kind of serious tinge to this energy. Like, you will not bend in ways you don't want to bend. You will only bend if you want to, and if you think it's necessary or appropriate. So I feel like there is something quite balanced in that way as well, like knowing where you end and other people begin, knowing where your boundaries end and what feels right for you. I think, again, you have a very strong sense of direction, a very strong sense of intuition, a very good, advanced inner compass. I'm also kind of drawn to the ears, so very good listener energy. I feel like a lot of the people that end up on my channel seem to have like this very intuitive, like big intuitive compass kind of energy, but also very logical, very well read, or someone who like demands authority. No matter how old you actually are, or like whether you are in a position of authority or not, this is more so just the energy that is coming through, the kind of core energy, the energy grounded within you. It demands authority. It demands to be taken seriously. And you don't have to ask for it. People just do, because they can feel it intuitively that you are to be taken seriously, that your ideas are like, they're not just, I don't have a word for this, but they are to be taken into account, essentially. Like, you demand respect, you demand to be taken seriously without having to ask for it. Like, it is just a given, because maybe there is this feeling that you would not settle for less, or you would not accept any less. And there is something almost like matter of fact coming through in your energy. So at times you can be maybe very straightforward with how you feel or what you think about something. If you disagree with something, I feel like you would be very straightforward about it as well. I think at times you come across a bit detached, but I think that is only when you have set certain boundaries with people or a particular situation. I think you are very good at managing those boundaries. Very independent. Very, very independent, and very in tune with your core, your ethics, your morals. Now that we've established this energy a little bit, and if this sounds like you, we are going to get some oracle cards to clarify. And I set the intention that any card that comes out, we will take it upright. So just as a side note, if you are following along on the screen, which I know some of you just put me there as you go about your day. I hope your day is going well, if that is the case, whatever you are up to. For pile 2, please, how is their energy seen and felt by other people? How is their energy seen and felt? We have indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of life. I don't think what is perceived from you is indecision. I think it is this very sentence: intuition, inner compass. You follow your intuition, but I think your intuition is very well integrated with your ideals, with like, it seems like your higher self speaks very loudly to you and very clearly to you. So I feel like you come across as someone who knows what they are doing, and who knows what they're doing is good for them, fits them, has good values for them. I also just saw 0808 as I was checking if like the screen looks fine. So Leo energy could be significant from the Strength card. And I was thinking horse, and look what we have, strength. And I was also thinking horse energy could be significant, but then I thought horse is not a zodiac sign. Well, at least I believe there is a year of the horse in the Chinese zodiac, so maybe year of the horse. Now I'm not sure though. Indecision. The moon's moment, synchronicity. Spiritual powerhouse energy. It seems like you appear in front of people when they are to learn something, or when they need some kind of support, when they need some kind of encouragement, when they need some kind of light to guide the way for them. And I don't think you necessarily have to do this on a very aware level. Like, you don't have to do this very consciously necessarily. You don't have to chase people down to like encourage them or something. They just find their way to you. I think there is something magnetic about your energy that pulls people to you at the right time. You might feel like you have kind of been there for a lot of people on their personal journey, just supporting them. It could be love interests, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be acquaintances, just random people you have random conversations with. And like, you may have been kind of a guide to people that are like older than you as well, or somewhat to people who have experienced more than you. But for you, maybe intuitively, it is easier to see the way out or see the way through for these people. How is pile 2's energy seen and felt by other people? We have Uranus Genius, which is a number 9, so Virgo energy could be significant. We also already had Leo, but these are just for extra confirmation. If you're looking for any, just ignore them. If I just also saw 1111, but synchronicity, there we go. It's literally there, so. And we have Aquarius energy with Uranus, actually, not just Virgo from the number 9. But yeah, we have Leo and Aquarius, so fixed signs coming through. Headstrong. We have the Damsel. Light attributes. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. And the shadow attributes are waiting for a night to provide for you, seduction by romantic illusion. This could be something about a journey that you have been on. Maybe you have learned a lot of lessons around relationships, and maybe that's why your energy is coming through in such a, I have good boundaries, I know my boundaries, I know what I will accept, I rely on myself because I know I'm reliable, and I'm maybe the most reliable figure in my life because I know I'm with myself 100% of my life. So what better relationship to cultivate than my relationship with yourself? So I feel like, again, there is this kind of just supports that energy of being independent. And all these patterns here, they make me think of patterns that you may have had, that you have shed along your journey. I'm kind of seeing like this horse running free, and with every kind of step it takes, there is something being shed, like something kind of just whoosh, going whoosh from the horse's energy. And these things are blockages or patterns or self-limiting beliefs, blockages to intuition, confusion, fog. And that doesn't mean you will never ever experience these feelings again, but I feel like you have had a lot of groundbreaking evolution moments and opportunities. And I think that is something that maybe in some ways you have been a mentor for other people to do as well. Like you have helped other people on their journeys. There is something very giving, very community oriented about your energy, even though your boundaries are so strong and you yourself are very independent. I feel like there is a very leader-like leadership quality to your energy, at least how it is seen by others, in how it is seen by others. You come across very brave, very resilient. We have the Queen of Cups. Again, lots of intuition coming through. Generosity, emotional intelligence, good emotional boundaries. For pile 2. Let's give this another shuffle. I feel like there's also an energy of you not being in any rush to get anywhere. You can just kind of adapt to where you are. Because you are coming through as so grounded in yourself, it's like you can adapt to any situation without losing yourself or without losing direction. So you can kind of exist anywhere comfortably because you have created such a strong connection to yourself. We have the Knight of Cups, very big heart. You give off kind of a strict but gentle energy. Oh, okay, and we have the Five of Pentacles, which again makes me think of boundaries. I think you are also very merciful, or you come across as someone very merciful, very understanding, but that doesn't mean you would abandon your own boundaries or abandon yourself for the sake of someone else. So boundaries, again, are coming through very strongly. Some people might feel you are untouchable in some ways. And very good at expressing yourself and your honest opinion, your objective opinion about things. I also just saw 1717, so more synchronicity energy. You are coming across so fearless in the way that you are, in the way that you embody yourself. You are not afraid to stay from the typical path. that people may have expected you to follow. And this can concern any area of your life. Like, you are not afraid of people's opinions. If you want to do something, you will do that thing, and it doesn't matter what other people say about it. And I think that is seen as something very admirable to people, because it's maybe to the people around you, this in particular is something that has felt very felt very strange or scary, especially if you have a strict upbringing, or if you're part of kind of a community that has certain strict beliefs, or you are surrounded by people who feel very pressured by how society says things should be, we should be, you should be, they should be. Your energy is like, maybe it's giving a bit like mom of the friend group, or parent of the friend group, because people know they can depend on you. People know you are responsible. People know you have their back. You will protect them. You will look out for them. 1919, I just saw. Every time I glance at the camera, almost there is something synchronizing there. I think people also find your views quite intriguing and worth listening to, worth considering. You may have, I'm hearing, converted people into spirituality, or maybe like had conversations with people where they became a bit more open to certain thoughts and beliefs that maybe they wouldn't be open to before. Different ways of looking at their existence, the universe. You come across as someone free and unbound by other people, by structures, by anything. Your energy comes across boundless, limitless. Except for if you decide you want to set a limit to something or put a boundary with something. But otherwise, it is free, it is boundless. Is there anything else that wants to come through about how Pile 2's energy is seen and felt by others? All right, I think on this note, this is all I have for you. I hope this resonated. If it didn't, even though you probably wouldn't have watched it this far, well, you can always choose another pile, or if you didn't feel drawn to any of the other piles, there may just be no message for you in this reading, which is also perfectly fine. But yeah, I am sending you tons of love. Take care, and bye. Hello, my beautiful pile 3s, and welcome to your reading. Today we are reading your energy, and we're looking at how it is seen and felt by other people. We will start off with this animal spirit card first to get kind of a baseline of your energy, and then we have some more oracles and tarot to get through. I've been live shuffling for this reading, which I have really enjoyed, so you may see more of that on the channel, and I'm really happy to be doing a viewer-focused reading today. I have been craving that more and more lately, so thank you for being here with me for this reading, and let's see. Starting off, we have the crow animal spirit, and already this is coming through as an energy with a very fast-paced mind, and lots of Mercury energy coming through, so Virgo energy could be significant, as well as Libra is on the tip of my tongue, but that's not correct. Gemini is what I should have been saying, but maybe Libra energy is also relevant, since that was the first thing that popped into my mind. But essentially, I feel like you can be quite unpredictable in the way that you come across. I feel like you are hard to read for other people at times. Maybe that is because you have built some kind of barrier between you and kind of the average person you meet. It takes time to get closer to you. It takes time, especially to unlock your mind. You may come across at times, like through the things you say, you may come across as someone who sets certain barriers and boundaries with people. And this may be due to past experiences you've had, but I also feel it is because you enjoy your space. You enjoy to have your freedom within your own space. It's coming through more introverted than extroverted. But that could also be because you come across that way because you have a lot going on in your mind, a lot of like, so it's like the gears are always spinning, the gears are always turning. Something is always being analyzed or processed. I think you may come across as more like you speak your mind. I feel like you don't really hold back on words. And I feel like you will make your opinion known. I don't think you're reserved in that way. I think at times it may come across a bit intimidating that you would speak your mind so freely, because I think at times it may not be what people want to hear or what people want to face, especially if this has happened in like personal relationships. I feel like you can be confrontational. I feel like you stand up for what you believe in, and sometimes I think that comes across as intimidating or something that is unbreachable. So there is that level of kind of this enigma energy, because I feel like you are not afraid to speak your mind, but you are very selective in who you approach. And I think there is this very witty energy. Like you will call people out when you think it is appropriate, but people may not always be ready to receive that energy. So there is that level of kind of intimidation, not because you are a scary person essentially, but I think you're just not afraid to call people out or say things as you see them directly without kind of sugarcoating it. You come across as someone very confident, even if that is not how you feel internally. I think there is kind of this Queen of Swords or King of Swords tinge to your energy, where you present yourself with a certain level of a boundary. Again, maybe this is because you have been burned in the past, but it is an energy where people know you know your worth. So I think there is a sense of being aware that they can't really get past your observations or get past your perceptions. Like you perceive a lot, you observe a lot all the time, your mind is working all the time, analyzing, processing. So it is difficult to go around that. You know, like there's not going to be any sneaky business around you. you may come across a bit more serious or even unemotional at times, but I think that is not because you are unemotional. I think that is because you are selective with the settings and people you are truly vulnerable with people who you truly show your like true self with. And you don't have to be just open with everyone. You don't need to give access to your energy to everyone. And I feel like you have strict boundaries around that. So I think you come across quite like protected, not just maybe by yourself, but overall you may tend to not get into sticky situations because you are very observant and very aware of what sticky situation you may be getting yourself into. But at times you may come across a bit too cautious, maybe. But I think that is also because you have had to maybe learn the hard way that but it can hurt to just pour your trust into any situation, especially if your intuition is telling you otherwise. And it does not have to mean that inherently, if your intuition is telling you to stay out of a situation, it's because this person is a bad person or anything along those lines, but it has to do with your own boundaries and what you feel is okay for you, which I think people see as being very, very, very valuable to you and very, very, very important to you, and something that maybe determines the way you choose to interact with someone or how much of yourself you choose to show to someone. But I think there is also something a bit misunderstood about your energy. Parts of you that you are more hesitant to show to people, which may come across as more guarded, more reserved. But I also think at times you may feel misunderstood. Especially if you are very direct at times. I think people can feel you are very direct at times, and they may not know how to react to that or interact with that, especially if they themselves are not very direct, or they tend to sugarcoat things, or I lost the end of that sentence, but okay. Let's get some more cards. And I will also say, I am not saying any of this to judge you, of course. I'm not judging any of the energies that come through. I feel like you have your reasons to kind of approach things a bit more skeptically. And there is nothing wrong with wanting to observe a situation, perceive a situation very carefully or very in depth in a lot of detail before getting into it, because in the end you don't have to get yourself into any situation you don't feel comfortable with or you don't want to be in. We have acceptance. I am learning to accept the things that I cannot change. At times, you may feel like it is very difficult to explain certain things to people, even though these things make so much sense to you. So there may be kind of this difficulty in, like, people might feel like sometimes it's difficult to understand you. I don't think that's because you don't explain yourself. I don't think that's because you don't try to explain what is going on in your mind, but not everyone may be receptive to that, or maybe you have been surrounded by people who haven't been fully receptive to this kind of energy, to maybe more honesty or straightforward conversations. People may have underestimated you and you may have proven them very wrong. For pile 3, please. We have forgiveness. We also have mystery coming out, dark side of the moon. And we have full moon, forgiveness. I feel like you have had to forgive and forget, or maybe you are still in the process of, not forget, but forgive. I feel like you are maybe in the process of recovering from something that has felt very heavy, something that has wounded you deeply. And I think maybe you've been surrounded by people who may not consider that, or who may not even know that when they look at your energy. So I feel like maybe you have been around people that you feel don't really understand you. So people might feel that they may not understand why you said that, or why you wanted to set a boundary with them. I think some people will just not be open to understanding or seeing the bigger picture, when for you maybe this comes more immediately. I think you are actually very compassionate. I think you are very compassionate because you have experienced a lot of hardship, maybe especially emotionally, which may have made you feel more defensive or protective of yourself when it comes to exploring certain situations, or getting close to certain situations, or getting close to certain people, which is perfectly understandable. And again, you have choice over who you share your energy with and in what ways. So you are not obliged to act in one way or another. But I do think this defensiveness may come across as being a bit like closed off to other people. And I think that is because people may not bother to ask the full story or understand the full story. We have Saturn, truth. This is 3 of Swords energy. So I, again, feel like you come across as someone who has had to survive on their own, survive harsh conditions, and that has maybe in perceptible ways hardened you. And that, I feel like only few bother to kind of dig underneath that surface, or maybe you feel like only a few have bothered to dig underneath that surface. So at times you may feel like the people around you, I just get the sense that you may feel a bit misunderstood, or like people don't really hear what you're trying to express. And I know this reading is about how your energy is seen and felt, but I feel like your side of this really matters as well, because I feel like maybe in your community or by the people around you, you have been misunderstood in certain ways, and maybe that is a big part of how your energy is perceived, because maybe it is not the most accurate representation of what is going on with you or what you have been through. I feel like you have had to be very strong, and people may not see like the reasons why, or again bother to ask. I feel like maybe this is something you have experienced a lot in your life, or experienced recently. I feel like you value kind of health, happiness. You've learned to value these things above all. Your energy is coming across as more of a survivalist. You are not afraid to be honest. We have child orphan coming out. Independence based on learning learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. There is that survivalist energy. And the shadow attributes are feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. You may feel a bit alienated by the community or the people around you, or like they have very different experiences from what you have been through, what you have seen. And sometimes it can be difficult to speak your mind to people who have no baseline for what you may have gone through and who may have maybe not that much empathy for it either. Maybe this is about a particular group of people or a particular situation, a particular person you have been involved with, especially. I feel that I think you do come across as more of an introvert. I don't think that's necessarily because you are an introvert, but I think it is because you like to keep your space. And I think that comes across as intimidating as well. You do come across very independent. People feel this is kind of an energy of like, you don't need anyone. You can survive on your own. And maybe at times you have felt like you had to do things alone. You had to survive alone. You may have felt like you didn't really have someone to depend on, or the people that you have depended on could have turned out to not be matching your energy, or they could have shown themselves to be people that you don't feel are trustworthy or dependable. So I feel like your energy comes across as very self-reliant and confident in your abilities to rely on yourself, but it can also be very tiring to feel like you only depend on yourself. So I feel like maybe it's just kind of also a matter of getting used to things, but maybe not feeling entirely fulfilled in this energy of how maybe people have tended to maybe confuse that boundary, like the boundaries that you have learned to set with other people, as you being uninterested or not wanting to like interact with them. I think you may come across colder than you actually are. I think you have a very gentle heart, but I feel that your experiences have made you feel like hiding that or keeping that to yourself, or like that is something that you should have to protect from other people. And again, that is valid if you have had experiences that have shown you why you shouldn't like wear your heart on your sleeve, or experiences that have supported that notion or created that notion. Maybe in the past you felt like you had to be a certain way to satisfy other people, and maybe the way you have been setting these boundaries is a reaction to that, is now your reaction to saying, I will be who I want to be. I will do what feels right for me, not for someone else, not for a separate group of people, not for a parent. I will be there for me. So very self-reliant, but I think at times that creates kind of this sense of being distant from other people, or like you are hard to reach or untouchable in certain ways. We have the Seven of Wands, which is very, again, I feel like it kind of confirms this energy of guardedness. Maybe you feel like you have to keep that guard up to ensure that you don't get yourself into a situation you will regret getting yourself into. But maybe there are also, this is also caused by certain ways in which you may blame yourself for staying in certain situations in the past. But I feel like it's important to say you did the best with what you knew at the time, with that version of yourself. And maybe now you see more, now you know more, now you have experienced more, now you feel more confident in yourself, more reliant in yourself, more independent. But you still did the best with what you knew at the time, and that is enough. You are enough. You are good enough. And I feel like maybe sometimes you may have felt like life is telling you or someone is telling you otherwise, and that can be very difficult to deal with. Especially if it is coming from someone you really care about or someone you really want to please. You may have had difficult relationships with your parents, and I feel like the reason I'm now talking more about how your energy is coming through rather than maybe how it is just seen and felt by others is because maybe there is a lot you don't show other people because you have felt like people would not understand or people would judge you. And in the end, it doesn't really matter what people think. It just doesn't. I mean, people will think all kinds of things. They will say all kinds of things. They will have their assumptions about you whenever you put yourself out there. And it is not a reflection of who you are or your worth. People are mirrors, but sometimes they're wobbly mirrors, and sometimes they show you taller than you are, smaller than you are. And that is not because they necessarily have bad intentions, but I mean, people are mirrors, but not things we have to or should base our entire sense of self off of. And I feel like that is something you have learned a lot, actually. Maybe in the past, you took other people's ideas and opinions of you more seriously than you do now. And maybe I feel like maybe this kind of protective energy around you, and it is good to protect yourself. You don't need to be involved in everyone's energy. But sometimes I feel like it can get in the way of feeling understood and heard, maybe on your end as well, if you tend to isolate yourself at times, which I can see would be a reaction to past experiences or what you've seen from people. But I think when you allow yourself to be seen, you are seen as someone with a lot of interesting ideas, a lot of interesting opinions. A lot of interesting perspectives. Someone who is loyal. Once you are convinced that someone or something deserves your loyalty, like I feel like there is something very stable in that energy, which at times can come across as being stubborn. But I think it is also that you hold your values, you hold on to your values very strongly. Like you've learned to be your own compass. Your mind is your compass. What other energies are relevant for my pile threes? How is their energy seen and felt by other people? We have the King of Cups and we have the Page of Swords. I feel like with this King of Cups, again, there is that like, because the King of Cups is like sitting on his own island, not in this image necessarily, but traditionally. So I feel like, again, there is this kind of withdrawn energy. you value your own space, and that space is unbreachable to a lot of people. I think if someone is allowed in that space, they feel very special. With the Page of Swords, again, a very curious, very active mind that maybe works over time. I think maybe one thing that is misunderstood about you is that you won't just judge people right off the bat. You are open to listening to them, but it may feel intimidating just interacting with that energy of confrontation sometimes. And some people maybe that you have come across don't really want to be accountable or can't find it in themselves to be accountable. There is also this tinge of like mystery to your energy. We also have the dark side of the moon, which is a confirmation of that mysterious energy. Difficult to read, definitely. So I feel like how your energy is seen and felt is more limited to what is actually going on the inside. Like it maybe differs significantly from how your energy is perceived. You may come across more stoic. Even though I think you have a very big heart, I also feel you've just maybe been burned enough to feel like you don't have to extend that to everyone. And you don't have to. It is more so about what you feel comfortable with, what you feel happy with. And it is okay to honor your own boundaries and to put your needs first or your sense of safety first. But I feel like maybe at times that can get in the way of connecting with people who may be different than what you have experienced before. I do think you have you have very good observational and perceptional skills and abilities, but at times maybe logic can get in the way of taking risks that may actually prove to be very rewarding. I think you come across a bit more cautious, a bit more careful, which is understandable if you have been, or it is just understandable, not even only if you've been through experiences that called for this, but if that is just how you are, that is also understandable. If that is what feels right to you, that is understandable. But what I'm trying to point out is maybe sometimes that gets in the way of experiencing and situations that may be very healing as well, because we can heal when we shift our focus from self-defense. And instead of investing in just defense, sometimes it pays off to be vulnerable and soft and allow ourselves space to be vulnerable and soft with someone or a situation that calls for it. And that doesn't mean you have to do this with everyone or in every situation. And it doesn't mean it's just very easy to do, or of course, all advice is optional as well, but I feel called to mention it could be helpful to not try to hide your softness, because while it may have attracted people who would not understand that or know what to do with that, it can also attract people who know exactly what to do with it and how to interact with it. But it is a bit of a risk, and we are not always ready to take that risk, which is perfectly okay. But I feel like in some ways you may be holding yourself back from experiences that maybe would be incredibly healing or liberating at times you may feel kind of overwhelmed in your own thoughts. And maybe you feel like you have to deal with that alone, or you should deal with that alone. And you can if that feels good and if you want that. But you are also not alone. You don't have to be alone. Your experiences may have taught you that you have to do everything alone, but that is not true. But sometimes it takes putting ourselves out there or taking a risk to find the people, the situations that will do these things with us. And again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do at all, but I feel like at times maybe you are hard on yourself. And maybe you limit yourself from having certain experiences because you don't want to be hurt, which is very understandable. It is completely valid. Nobody likes being hurt. Well, I guess not nobody, but the general population. We try to protect ourselves, but sometimes there is no threat and we still protect ourselves because we are very hyper vigilant to all the possibilities, everything that can go wrong. And I think your energy is quite hyper vigilant, which can be beneficial at times, but it can also be exhausting in other settings. I'm just going to shuffle the tarot deck a little bit more and we will see if there is... Look how the sun is out as well. It has been for some time in your reading, but it feels very warm now. I feel like you have a very warm core and it just takes some time to dive that deep. Maybe even in this reading, it has taken some time for me to kind of touch that. I mean, not touch that, but kind of see the manifestation of that. You have the Moon in reverse and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, at times maybe you feel a bit stuck in your own head, in your own thoughts, and maybe some rules that you have learned maybe as a child, maybe from past experiences. But your life does not have to be a repetition of the past. Or what has been. And with the moon coming out, Cancer energy could be significant. We also have Capricorn. And bottom deck energy is the Fool in reverse. So that hesitation energy, that maybe at times choosing to stay back or protect yourself instead of taking a risk, and everything in your own time and everything if you feel called to do so. But also Aries energy could be significant with the Fool coming out. And I think on this note, this is all I have for you. I am sending you tons of love. Take care and bye. Hello, my beautiful pile fours, and welcome to your reading. I haven't done a pile four in some time, so welcome. Even though maybe, I mean, you've been around before. Anyway, so we are starting off with this oracle card first, which will represent kind of the baseline of your energy, the way that is coming through and it is seen and heard by other people. And then we are live shuffling today, which I am very, very excited about. And you'll probably see more of that on the channel because I actually prefer that, and I always do that in personal readings. But to cut back down on the time for normal collective readings, I just have not been doing that very often. So the videos are not like 3 hours long. But anyway, we'll find a way to integrate that. And let's get into this. Ah, yes, you have the otter. And while I was shuffling, when I was saying others, I said otters. But by accident, I guess. And then the Otter card flew out. So one thing that is coming through immediately is I feel like you have an energy that's like you get what you want. And I think you get what you want because you are very intuitive in your approach to what is good for you, what people are good for you. And I think you have an energy that is perceived as very, very, very attractive, very friendly, very loyal, very sweet. This is such a sweet energy. So sweet, so gentle, so soft with people. You may compliment people a lot. I feel like you care about making people feel good about themselves. I think you are kind of a very gentle shoulder to lean on. I think you are someone with a lot of gentle advice for other people. Sometimes you may come across a bit all over the place, a bit distracted, a bit daydreamy, definitely quirky. And I feel like you can be the life of the party, but you don't feel like you have to be. Like, people know you're not necessarily looking for attention, but you are very sociable. You are a very good conversationalist. You are very sweet. I keep on saying that, but your energy is coming through so sweet. I feel like people perceive you kind of like a pixie. Now I'm just hearing Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. There could be some kind of message for you in that song as well. I mean, it is Where Is My Mind, Where Is My Mind? So maybe at times you come across a bit all over the place like that. You may have kind of, I'm hearing otherworldly ideas that could talk about intuition. It can talk about a lot of like fantasy-like ideas, very novel ideas. I'm also getting some interest in like maybe art, photography, visual things like aesthetics, but also technology. Maybe like digital art or something could be relevant for some of you. But you are coming across very sweet. You may be on the shorter end of the spectrum physically. You don't have to be. And you have kind of a very young, spirited energy, very lively, very fun to be around. People, I think, love being around your energy. It is so enjoyable, so contagious. You may be more extroverted than introverted. There is also an adventurous tinge, like you could be that one person out of the friend group who is randomly traveling to the other side of the world on your own just because you wanted to. Very exciting, like you always have exciting stories to share. People love listening to your stories. You may have a very sweet voice as well. And you give this like chill energy, like open-minded, chill. People are not going to feel judged by you. Even if you do judge them, I feel like it would be outside of people's knowledge and not very noticeable. You seem like your energy is very accepting, very comforting, very inviting to all kinds of people, it seems. So let's see what else wants to come through for my pile 4s. How is their energy seen and felt? We have acceptance. This came out for one of the other piles, and I don't remember which one. But we have, I am learning to accept the things that I cannot change. So there is that energy of acceptance, of like, not just other people, but things that flow to you and from you. I feel like there's a good understanding of relaxation in your energy. Like, people feel like you are relaxed, you are not on edge. I just saw 555, and when I checked the time before, I wasn't really checking the time, but just kind of the screen if things are crooked. You may be very detail oriented. People may feel like they can really count on you to get things done in a good way if you say you're gonna do it. But I think you're not afraid of change necessarily, or at least people feel like you're not afraid of change, you're not afraid of evolution, you're not afraid of growth. And I think that comes across inspiring to people. That you can peacefully float to things, from things, let things flow to you, from you. It's kind of like nothing that is meant for you will pass you by, and you know that, and you embody that, and maybe you instill that in other people as well. Even if that's not how you feel all the time, you can of course have doubts, you can of course have worries, perfectly normal feelings and completely valid, but I feel like you just give off this energy to other people to be accepting of things that are out of their control, but to be responsible for things that they can control. I don't know why I'm shuffling this deck still. You may, because I wanted to move to another deck, but as I stopped, maybe we should read the bottom deck. I'm thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. Yeah, your energy is like seen as someone who's grateful for the opportunities that you get, who can appreciate the little things, the simple things, the beauty in life. You can see the beauty in life very clearly. How is pile 4's energy seen and felt by others, please? How is pile 4's energy seen and felt? We have moon in detriment. Cut your losses. This for me again encourages the idea of like this ease in the way you flow through life. This doesn't mean you don't get upset if something upsetting happens. It doesn't mean you are just unemotional or unreactive. But I feel like there is a sense of optimism that comes through in your energy, that you know things are not always going to be rainy the same way it's not always sunny. So I feel like there is a good understanding of the balance of come and go in life, and you seem to give off the sense that you don't necessarily become too attached to outcomes. People can rely on you and you can rely on yourself. Seems like you have so much energy to give, so much energy to share. How is pile 4's energy seen and felt by others? We have 2 cards again. Your energy is felt in abundance, I feel. Like it seems like there's just energy bursting out of you. We have Libra, I balance. We also have Saturn, return age. I'm just gonna place one of these here. Which one? Libra, okay. Libra energy could be significant. Capricorn energy could also be significant. I also get Aquarius from this. Because this is the Judgment card in the tarot, it's meant to represent the Judgment card in the tarot. 19 is the number of the sun in the tarot, and again, this bubbly, happy, childlike wonder energy. I think you make people just have fun, forget about how they look, how they see, like how they're seen, how they're perceived. Just, I feel like you bring people into the moment, into the present with your energy. You show them that it's safe to do so. that they can be comfortable, they can relax, they don't have to worry about everything that's going on in their mind, in their life. Just cut all of that out and be in the moment. I feel like, yeah, there's kind of this very, very bubbly, very contagious energy. But it's not that you are like unaware or unperceptive or just ignorant at all. I feel like you are just, you know, you can read people well, so you know how to show up for them. But I think you are not interested in sacrificing your own self to please other people. Maybe that has happened in the past, but I feel like that is maybe, at least in the way you are perceived, I feel like people would not even think of like having bad intentions towards you. I don't know. I don't know if that is how you feel, but it's kind of coming through that way. Like, who could have beef with you? That's kind of what it feels like. And again, it's not that you're ignorant or you don't care or you don't have like your opinions, your feelings, your perceptions, but I feel like you're just not someone to have beef with. Even if someone tries to fight you, I feel like you would just, you give off the vibe that you would just kind of be like, why don't we hug instead? Or like, I don't like this. Why don't you go outside instead and get some fresh air? Or why don't I go outside instead and get some fresh air? I feel like you have a good sense of intuitive control in terms of how involved you want to be in situations. I don't think you get like just consumed by other people's energies. It seems like in that sense you have very nice barriers around yourself. So I'm gonna actually focus better and give this a nicer shuffle. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention, but we're taking every card that comes out upright in this reading. That was the intention that I set. So even if the card comes out in reverse, I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Oh, no, almost all of them are, no, never mind. Some of them are reversed. So yeah, it's just because I, at some point, wanted to use reversals and I didn't want to fix it afterwards because it doesn't really matter in the end as long as the intention is like set and decided. So, okay, pile 4. How is their energy? We have the Queen. Radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others. People feel safe with you because of this kind of barrier that seems to go around with you. I mean, I'm kind of seeing this otter moving around with this like blue light around it, and whoever comes into contact with that blue light, with that energy, also feels safe, also feels protected. The shadow attribute is becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. I don't think you are necessarily controlling and demanding towards other people. Maybe at times you may feel that way within your relationship with your own self, but I don't think that is part of what comes through in your in how you're perceived by other people. And it could even be helpful to take your approach to other people and instill more of that within your relationship with your own self as well. And seeing that you deserve the same compassion, the same ease, the same comfort, the same support, the same encouragement as other people, as what you give to other people. And I think you have this awareness most likely, but maybe sometimes in practice it comes a bit more difficult. I think you thrive in social settings. You don't always need to be like the most extroverted person in the world, but I think you are quite sociable. Maybe an ambivert? I think I said extrovert at some point, but I think you come across as an extrovert, but you may actually not be. I think you come across that way because you are so sociable. Pile 4, please. How is their energy? We have the Queen of Cups, which has also come out for one of the other piles. So maybe there is a message, if there is kind of a connection between some of the piles. Very intuitive. I guess that makes sense that there is so much Queen of Cups energy, for example, because you are watching a tarot reading. So it would make sense that people with this kind of energy would be more attracted to do something like this. But there is also so much Queen energy, regardless of gender. This is kind of, to me, graceful energy. Graceful, not afraid of self-expression, not afraid of their uniqueness, not afraid of responsibility towards your own self and other people. We have the Magician. Maybe hard to pin down at times, like here and there, everywhere, or randomly going traveling. Again, like very exciting, very adventurous energy. And we have Gemini and Virgo energy coming through with the Magician. It's like you make things happen. Like you say, I have this dream, and then the next time you see people, you're like, oh, I actually did that already. I went there already. Oh, I booked that trip already. Oh, I bought that thing already. And I think you come across as someone who is like very non-judgmental. Like if you fail at something, you're not afraid to try again. Like you can see the light, brighter side of things. You can make light of yourself. You may come across as someone who doesn't take themselves very seriously. And with that, maybe people know you're not going to judge them anyway because you are just comfortable with yourself. So why shouldn't they be? And I feel like you give off this energy without even really trying to. You know, it doesn't feel like you try hard to be one way or another. It seems like you are just you. And you just let other people be who they gotta be. And that doesn't mean you want to be friends with everyone or be super close with everyone. But I feel like there is kind of this ease that your energy is surrounded by, this lightness, this airy quality. Pile 4, please. How is their energy seen and felt by others? How is Pile 4's energy seen and felt by others? We have the Page of Pentacles, a seeker, curious, someone who is always growing, always evolving, showing up as many different versions of themselves. You can be someone who changes their style quite often, or you may have a very unique sense of style as well. Maybe a lifelong learner. You may be interested in arts and crafts as well, or something to do with your hands. Someone very resourceful, witty, and Someone who thinks quickly on their feet. Your energy kind of feels like a spring breeze. But when you go from spring to summer, kind of that transition period. Now I'm thinking of this song, Silver Springs, by Fleetwood Mac. Which could be relevant. But yeah, I love that song. Is there anything else that wants to come through? For my pile fours. All right, I think on this note, this is all I have for you. I hope this resonated. I am sending you tons of love. Take care and bye. Hello, my beautiful pile fives, and welcome to your reading on how your energy is seen and heard. Well, seen and felt, really. That was it, but maybe also heard by other people. We're starting off with this animal spirit card first, then we will be live shuffling the rest of the oracles and the tarot, which I love, so we will probably be doing more of that on the channel. If you are new here, welcome. Nice to meet you. I don't have a pile 5 very often, or maybe ever, so welcome. Even if you have been around before, welcome. And already I will tell you, your energy to me feels like chamomile tea. Very peaceful, very comforting, very gentle, like I feel so safe I could fall asleep. It's that kind of energy. And your animal spirit card is the Firefly. And this always makes me think of someone who may not look like it necessarily, but is really, really wise and very, very encouraging, but in the gentlest ways possible. Like, not at all demanding, not at all forceful in their approach, not judgmental, free themselves, but someone who loves to connect with community. But when they need to hide, they will also find themselves a comfortable place to hide, to just be themselves. I feel like you have a very good balance of like when you socialize with people, but also I think you're very good at taking up your own space and giving space and time for yourself to process your feelings. You come across very creative to other people, and because I was saying how your energy is heard, maybe you are very expressive with who you are, maybe especially through your voice. You could be someone who does public speaking. You could be someone who sings, who presents things. Could be a teacher as well. Anything that you kind of do with your voice. You may have a very nice, soothing voice as well, but I feel like there is this warmth to you. It's like warm tea, like a warm cup of tea, very comforting. And flowers are coming through very strongly as well. You may smell like flowers. You may always have flowers in your house, or you may be the kind of person who would buy their friends flowers. Gift giving is also coming through. I feel like you are someone who is seen as someone who is happy when they see happiness in other people. So very empathic, very much picking up on other people's energy, maybe sometimes quite sensitive to that as well. And maybe that's why you feel at times like you may want to hide or stay in your own kind of zone instead of getting involved with people all the time. If you are someone who picks up on other people's energy very easily, it can sometimes also get very tiring to be around people all the time. But overall, I feel like you are someone who is seen as like a good example, like a good example, a good teacher, a good mentor. someone maybe people in your community look up to. I'm hearing the word organic. So maybe you're very like at peace with yourself, who you are, like you are just very organic, very natural in your personality and your approach to people, very genuine, very authentic. That's how it's coming through. Very understanding, very soft-spoken. Very, 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 very understanding of other people's needs, and can read a room very easily, can adapt to the situations very easily. I already want to get some oracles. I know the sun makes this look kind of whack. Like my hands look, you can see my hands all the time probably, but I kind of like this weird aesthetic today. You may be into arts a lot, you may enjoy arts, maybe more like modern art, or something futuristic. And also the ocean is coming through, like diving, but maybe that's just philosophic thoughts, philosophically diving quite deep. We have gratitude. I'm thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. I feel like you very much enjoy like peace, quiet, and right as I'm saying, there is just sirens going off in the background. I think you are someone who is seen as very grounded and someone who can keep their cool even in the most panicky or chaotic of situations. You could be an energy healer as well. Healer energy is coming through very strongly. There is something very healing about just being in your energy, very grounded in the moment, but also very inspiring, like fiery energy, but it's not in an overbearing kind of way. You are just who you are, and your presence is enough to inspire people. Your experiences, your stories are enough to inspire people. You might like camping or like being in nature, or you may just give off that energy. You may have that kind of aesthetic. Pile 5. Seek healing. Healing moon. This is probably the most healing-oriented card in this entire deck. Yeah, I feel like you have an affinity that people can see. And look at those flowers. You have an affinity for healing, for sure. Even if like this is an undiscovered talent of yours, or you don't do this on purpose, you don't intend to do this, I feel like it is just something that happens by people interacting with you, becoming, I'm hearing, encased in your energy. And we have South Node, Life's Depths. This is 10 of Swords energy, which is quite a different... For some of you, you may be a doctor, or you've maybe helped a lot of people get through very, very difficult situations in life because you have been through very difficult situations in life, and you have learned to keep an open heart and open mind for what other people are experiencing, and learned to extend naturally a lot of gentleness, a lot of understanding without jeopardizing yourself and your own needs. As people transform, as people go through transformations, through little deaths and rebirths of life, you may be involved with like a charity or social work as well. Your energy is coming across quite selfless, very dependable. Like everyone can feel like they're with family when they're around you. I think your energy is one that is easily relatable and very, very comforting to the people around you. You make people feel safe. You make people feel warm even when they are going through big storms in their lives. And I will also mention, I set the intention that every card that comes out, I will take it in upright position regardless of what direction it comes out in, because I shuffled this kind of in a mixed way before and I've been too lazy to fix it. I just saw the healer card as well, I am pretty sure. You could be interested in breath work, meditation, yoga, moving your body and your mind, I'm hearing. So people might feel like they have learned and are learning a lot from you. We have gossip. Awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust. And the shadow attribute is thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. I don't think you have this shadow attribute side to you, because I feel like that is not at all coming through as your intention. I think the opposite. You evoke a lot of trust in people. I think you are seen as someone very trustworthy. Your energy is it's coming across very dependable in that way. Because I also feel like there is a sense that you don't have anything to hide. Or people feel like you are kind of the same inside and out. Like you're not afraid to show who you are. You don't wear masks. You don't try to look like something you are not or someone you are not. It seems like you are at peace with yourself, regardless of whether this is how you actually feel about yourself or about your relationship with yourself. I feel like it comes through as having and sustaining a very peaceful relationship with yourselves, having very kind of peaceful, empathic, sensitive conversations with yourself and everything and everyone around you. You are coming across as very resilient as well. It's not that life has not challenged you, that you have been able to keep this peaceful energy. It's not at all that life hasn't challenged you. I feel like you've likely been challenged in very significant ways, but it seems like you have not allowed that to change your core. You have not allowed that to take from you, and that has taken incredible resilience, and I think it shows in your energy. And maybe these difficult experiences are also what has led you to having so much gratitude. So much that people can feel the gratitude, the peace, the connection that you embody with people and things around you. Oh, thank you. We have the Lovers. Gemini energy could be significant. I'm also getting some Sagittarius. We have the Three of Cups. Someone very fun to be around and absolutely an amazing friend, an amazing supporter. Someone who can cultivate very deep connections with the people around them. I think people view you as someone very deep, someone with a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom to share, but also someone who knows how to have fun and like let loose. Someone who's not afraid to be all versions of themselves. Someone not bound by rules. Not by rules they've set for themselves, and not by rules kind of created by society or other people and their expectations. I think your energy is seen as one full of good intentions. Like, you don't want to harm anyone, you don't want to harm anything, you wouldn't harm a fly. That's what it feels like. Very gentle, very sweet. Difficult to anger, and like difficult to trigger, that's what it feels like. You may be able to keep a very level-headed approach to a variety of situations. Again, maybe because you have been challenged in the past. And I heard, or in a past life. I don't know what your beliefs are on that. I don't know what my beliefs are on that, but if that resonates with you, that is something that I'm hearing. I'm also hearing purposeful. You are perceived as someone purposeful. We have the 8 of Cups. It does seem like you have been through a lot of hardship, and through that you have grown so much. Maybe recently there's been a situation you've had to leave behind, or a part of your life that was getting a bit stagnant that you had to set yourself free from. Seems like you are perceived as someone who values freedom, personal freedom, emotional freedom, just existential freedom, just freedom in every way. You may have unconventional interests, unconventional habits, unconventional occupation. But it seems like it's about what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, what makes you feel peaceful. Can we clarify this 8 of Cups energy? I also feel like people see you as someone who, again, can adapt. Like, if the situation calls for something more serious, a serious approach, you can do that. If it calls for just letting loose, getting drunk, having fun, or just like not getting drunk, doing whatever, you don't, yeah, it's just kind of more an energy of like, Pile 5 knows how to have fun. Pile 5 knows how to be serious. Pile 5 knows how to be there for people. It seems like Pile 5 is very, very, very easily adaptable. And maybe that comes from a place of having so much empathy for people and situations that it's easy to understand what the situation needs or calls for. You can cultivate very deep connections with people. People feel seen by you. People feel heard by you. People feel understood by you. You have the 2 of Pentacles. And there is something hardworking about this energy as well. It's also making me think of a bee. Like, how much you can take on is impressive. The things you create are impressive. Your creativity is impressive. It's inspirational to the people around you. Like, you can create wonders just with the power of your mind, and it shows. I think I'm hearing it makes your energy delightful to engage with. yeah, it has been delightful to read for you so far. So I'm quite enjoying this energy as well. Okay, a bunch of cards went away. I'm also hearing that song, like, Count on Me. Is that what it's called? Like, you can count on me. Like, 1, 2, 3. Something like that. We have the Knight of Cups, Two of Swords, High Priestess, Justice, Nine of Pentacles, Hangman in reverse, Knight of Wands. It seems like the rough experiences, the challenges of your life have not hardened you, but they have made you have a lot of gratitude and a lot of softness for the ups and downs of life. And by softness, I mean just kind of this approach that of like acceptance. That things may not always go your way, but that doesn't have to break you, because you are not so rigid that you can't adapt, that you can't grow, that you can't evolve. So very flexible in that sense. Is there anything else that wants to come through for my pile fives? All right, I think on this note, this is all I have for you. I hope this was helpful or interesting at the very least. I am sending you tons of love. Take care and bye.